in this particular instance is appropriate. He sent to DEC for a long study on this issue. He's now referred it to the Department of Health to take a look at the health potential impacts. If in fact those come back and are found to be acceptable, then I think that the development of gas wells in our communities should be a local issue. Those communities should have the ability, as Governor Cuomo has indicated, to accept or reject that. But we do have to have an all-of-the-above program relative to our energy products. We need to be looking at renewables. We obviously are going to have a long time to work with fossil fuels, and we also have to look at nuclear. All of those things need to be done as part of the overall program. It is, in fact, a balanced approach to a difficult problem, and that is how we should be proceeding, is making sure that we do things in as safe a manner as possible after we have good, independent, scientific analysis, so that we are working from the facts. That, to me, is the most important aspect. Thank you.
I agree that we need to go ahead and unlock our nation's vast reserves. It's simple as that. And when Mr. Hasig was out in North Dakota, the one thing he didn't mention is that there's 3% unemployment in North Dakota. Everybody who has a job wants a job because they made a decision on the ground and said they want to go ahead and tap their resources. And with that, they're having an unbelievable boom. Same thing's happened with the tar sands in Alberta. Same story in central Pennsylvania. You can't get a hotel room in central Pennsylvania because of the unlocking of the natural gas, which will be safe, economical, and lead our country forward for the next 30, 50 years. And when I think about why that makes sense, it's because the economics are right. Like, I'm a businessman. You have to look at the data and what makes sense. Too often, our all the above energy proposal is basically to come in and get corporate subsidies and government waste tucked right in there. Things that don't work. That's how you actually get the cylinders of the world. But what we know by going in and tapping in to our domestic oil, our domestic natural gas, as well as hydropower and nuclear, these things actually work and they're economically viable. That's what's going to lead us to 21st century greatness, to tap into our own resources and use not only what we have, but what works.
I really want to rebut that. See, he's making that same mistake that we made that got us in this mess of having not the clean environment that everybody wants. He puts business and profit making at a higher priority than protecting the earth. And until every American learns to put protecting the earth and the public health at a higher priority than making money, we're going to continue to go down that path of becoming a more and more second-rate country, third-rate country, fourth-rate country, ruin our wonderful resource here. It's poisoning the earth doing the fracking. That's all it is. This thing of pumping of witch's brew of toxic chemicals into the earth mother, you can't poison an earth mother that's already been abused. This is so wrong. It should be, they said the 90s were going to be the decade of the environment. Well, where's it at? I know where it's at. Down in Albany, I was down there with the people that were against the shale gas in New York State. There's never going to be shale gas in New York State. People won't tolerate it. We'll tear down the drilling rigs, they put them up. We just won't tolerate it. There comes a point where the people have to say, if you don't stop abusing our mother, we'll force you to stop. We'll force you to stop with every way that Americans born in the revolution can stop.
With that, I want to thank all three gentlemen tonight. I think we owe a huge thank you to the Queensburry School District for allowing us to use the building tonight. Time Warner Cable for sponsoring and the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce for hosting. And with that, we will start closing arguments. And first will be, if I have it correct, Mr. Doheny.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your sponsorship here at the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for doing a great job, and obviously thanks for the high school. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to go ahead and show the clear contrast that voters are going to have here on November 6th here in the new 21st Congressional District. I will be focused, when in Washington, to get the economy working right here in the 21st District. When you have issues that are just so granular and so important to the business people, the private sector, and getting wages up in our district, where you heard a clear choice in terms of issues from foreign policy to card check. When you think about different mandates, whether it comes from Obamacare and other things, there's a clear choice between my opponents and myself. If you want to go ahead and turn the corner with this economy, send someone who's turned companies around, someone who understands the economy from the ground up. I can go ahead and be that voice in Washington. And part of that is being a salesman in chief to promote this area. And one thing I always promise people, that if you elect me, I will be the hardest working man in Washington. Thanks for the time.
Certainly, I'd like to share my thanks as well to all of you for participating, to the Chamber. And I want to say that my now deceased partner, Ron Stafford, always focused on constituents and constituent service. When I make decisions in Washington about how I'm going to vote, I look at how it's going to affect each of you first. Each of you first. So from my perspective, having walked the streets of Plattsburgh and Malone and Glens Falls and Messina for the past 35 years, as I went around recruiting businesses to our community, these are the kinds of things that you are deciding how to vote on. What will go through my mind as I look at various pieces of legislation? Doesn't mean we'll always agree, but you'll know that that's what I'm thinking about as I make the decision. Thank you and have a great night.
Our country is faced with the greatest challenges ever faced with. There's no doubt about this. This is the time for digging down in our inner beings. It's a time for thinking about how we connect with everything else. It's the time for making some huge changes, paradigm shifts. They say 2012, the end of the world. Not the end of the world, the end of the world as we know it. I can feel it, it's happening. People are getting into this Occupy Wall Street. I did an Occupy McDonald's just a couple days ago over in Potsdam, and it was so good. People were smiling, people were into this. They want to talk about using scientific knowledge to protect health. This is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the United States of America. Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Canada, our neighboring country. It shouldn't be childhood cancer awareness. There should have never been so much childhood cancer. There's a lot of childhood cancer because we made the mistake over and over again for the past 100 years. Put making money first. Don't put making money first. Put protecting the environment first and protection of public health first, and we'll win.